Elsie and her husband Dele, Shibomaheen. And if I miss any of the other Shibomaheen clan who are also here, hello. Any other family I'm not seeing, like raise your hand. Neighbors, friends, strangers of all ages and stages. I see youth, I see middle age, I see seniors. And for the strangers who are here taking a chance that another stranger might have something useful to say on a Saturday morning when you could be at the Art and Wine Festival, I appreciate your taking a chance on me. I appreciate you all. I am Julie Lythcott-Haims. She, her, hers. 22-year resident of Palo Alto, and I'm running for city council to be a good steward of our city's resources and a caretaker for its future. And I would like your ear today, your help tomorrow, and your vote in November. I'll begin by acknowledging that we are standing on the unceded land of the Ramaytush people, the original inhabitants and caretakers of this place, now called Palo Alto. And we're here specifically on the south side of Palo Alto, y'all. I know some of you weren't quite sure how to find us, but we are here on the south side, loud, proud, and strong. Am I right, south side? Like some of you, perhaps, Dan and I came to this magnificent city for its schools. 22 years later, we are the proud parents of 2 graduates of Juana Briones Elementary, Fletcher and Gunn. Yeah. And our son Sawyer, whom you met doing the icebreakers, now works at Hoover, supporting kids with special needs. Woo. But our dream of a Palo Alto unified education for Sawyer and his baby sister Avery was only possible when my incredible mother Jeannie said she was willing to go in 50-50 with us on a down payment and a mortgage for a truly damaged house up the road here in Green Acres. 3 generations under one roof in what started as a real fixer-upper is how our Palo Alto dream came true. Maybe you can relate. Fast forward all these years, I've had 3 careers, first as a lawyer, then as a Stanford dean, and now I'm a nonfiction writer and author, and all along I've served on numerous nonprofit boards here and elsewhere, just trying to do my part to help humans on the path of life, maybe like you. But I want to be frank for a moment, although I'm going to try not to swear, because I think Braden from the Daily Post might be here. Y'all, what we've been going through recently, what we've been put through in this country, all the things which I don't need to name for you because you know what I'm talking about, those things made me begin to lose hope that we could make things better, or that having a functioning society was even possible. I became afraid. For my own safety, for that of my family, also for you. And scientists tell us that when we experience that kind of fear, the part of our brain that responds, called the amygdala, triggers a fight, flight, or freeze response, which is designed to help us survive, just as it was designed for our cave ancestors back in the day. So my amygdala made me Google, how do I get a passport for Canada? More than once. Maybe you can relate. And my amygdala made me put my head in the metaphorical sand in my she shed in our backyard at the end of a cul-de-sac on Maybell Way in Palo Alto, where I write books and give talks on Zoom and pretend that none of this is happening. Maybe I was a little depressed. How's your amygdala been doing? But then, y'all, something put the fight back in me, and that's why I'm standing here today. It was June 5th, 2022, a Sunday, and I'm reading the New York Times on my laptop. I get to the business section where there's a full-color photo of a Mill Valley woman named Susan Kirsch. And in the article, she brags about how she prevented affordable housing from being built in her neighborhood for 18 years. 18 years of people less privileged than Susan Kirsch getting to have a place to live. My mind drifted back to 2012, the year when our city, a far finer place than Mill Valley, had its own very public fight over apartments for low-income seniors right over there. But those against the affordable units won, and instead we got a handful of market-rate single-family homes. Fast forward to 2022, and home prices are even more out of reach, even to rent, which a whopping 46% of Palo Altans do. I see you, renters. And it takes years to get off a waiting list for affordable housing. That Sunday in June, Susan Kirsch of Mill Valley pulled me out of my malaise and showed me that there are things very much worth fighting for. Do you think I should thank her? I shut my laptop and stared at Dan and I said, I've got to try to do something for people who need housing in Palo Alto. Y'all, Susan Kirsch reminded me of who I am. Here's who I am. I'm a move out, I'm a move on, act blue, swing left, woke libtard, or whatever the name they call us these days, because I root for humans, and I want all of us to make it, and I'm here to help. I am running for city council in Palo Alto because we have an urgent housing problem and just a few other matters that demand our attention. And I believe in my bones that despite our differences in age, stage, and background, we are all neighbors. And I know that when we work together, we can thrive. And I know in our hearts we want to, and I think it's high time that we do. Before I tell you about our campaign platform, I want to thank our city council. They are supporting unhoused people with safe parking spaces at First Congregational Church. They've got a hot off the presses partnership with the county and the nonprofit Life Moves to build transitional housing for hundreds near the Baylands. They're signaling support for larger housing developments with market rate and affordable units to help us meet state mandated housing goals. They put a business tax on the ballot to ask our wealthiest corporations to do their fair share and raise funds for housing, transportation, and public safety. And on that front, they hired a police chief who seems to understand the issues communities of color face at the hands of law enforcement. I seek to join them. And if elected, the 4 issues I will focus on are housing at all income levels, including for renters and owners, youth mental health, urgent climate action, and belonging for all. So let's start with belonging, because that's just about race, class, gender, and sexual orientation. Far less controversial than housing. Regardless of our identities and backgrounds, we all want to be treated with dignity and kindness. Like many of you, I know firsthand what it's like to be presumed not to belong here in our Palo Alto. Like many of you, I know the sting of being treated as a stereotype here. Stanford professor Jennifer Eberhardt teaches that we all have built-in biases against others based on the earliest messages we received young from our family, culture, media, and society. We mustn't be ashamed that we have these biases. I have implicit biases too. But we have to stop letting our implicit biases control how we think and behave toward others. It's time. If elected, I'll be that council member who values all who live and work here. I'll examine every issue through the lens of belonging, as in, who does this benefit and who does it leave out? And why is that? And what's the history and why was it that way? And what are we gonna do about it now? Like if it's not beautiful enough for North Palo Alto, don't put it up on the South Side. Belonging shows up not just in how we treat one another, but in our policies. Some of you are feeling afraid right now because of what I'm saying. Please know that I'm not judging you. I will walk with you. If you seek growth, I will lovingly remind you that you are brave. Let's turn to youth mental health. The U.S. Surgeon General says our youth are in crisis and nobody knows that better than us. The state is helping by mandating later school starts for tweens and teens so they can get better sleep, which is a huge foundation of wellness. And as a gun mom and former Stanford dean, I know that mental health is also impacted by how we speak and behave around our youth. They're desperate to know that they are loved regardless of their grades and scores, that whether they're headed to a 2-year college, a 4-year college, a trade school, the military, or the workplace, all of these paths will make us proud and will enable them to make meaningful lives and meaningful contributions to our world. I will be a city leader who partners with the school district, Project Safety Net, Alto, Project Cornerstone, CHC, educators, clinicians, practitioners, parents, and youth themselves to help ensure that all youth who live and go to school here understand that a bright future awaits them. I will vote for Nicole Chu Wong for school board for this reason. Where is she? And you should vote for her too. Together, we will lead the charge to change the Palo Alto narrative from "you matter because you're brilliant" to "you matter because you breathe." Which leads me to our campaign's third prong: urgent climate action. Nothing matters without a planet that can support human life. The bell is tolling, yet we wonder why our youth experience depression and anxiety at alarming levels. We're lucky to live in a city and state that are leading the way. Palo Alto's SCAP, the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan, commits that we will cut our carbon emissions by 80% by the year 2030. And Governor Newsom just announced that in 2035, all new cars sold in California will be electric. But you, I, all of us must put on our big kid shoes and make sacrifices in our personal energy use. Our youth are the most inspiring leaders here because it's existential for them. They need a thriving planet for the next 80 years, unlike some of us, planning to be here for maybe another 40 or 50, I hope. That's why I'm excited about the Palo Alto Student Climate Coalition. They're here tabling today, and when we met, and when they sat down with me at Backyard Brew, I admitted to them that I hadn't always gotten why climate mattered, but now I do. I went from grumbling about the hassle of recycling to putting solar panels on our roof. We've also got an electric vehicle and a hybrid vehicle in our driveway. And this past week, we ripped out the aging gas-powered HVAC and are replacing it with electric. There's privilege in being able to make these choices, I realize. But if you can afford it, isn't it time? And finally, the H word, housing. The facts are cold and hard, so I hope I've warmed you up a bit. Humans need a safe, secure place to sleep each night, period. People who live in their cars are not car campers, interlopers, or criminals. Some of them have called me to tell me their story. They are our seniors who used to live in an apartment but can no longer afford it. They are teachers who can't quite make ends meet on their salary. They are newly divorced moms who are trying to keep their kids in the Palo Alto schools. They are neighbors who have fallen on hard times. City employees need housing too. We have 3 times as many jobs here as homes, and the homes are unaffordable, as you know. So folks like educators, nurses, firefighters, and grocery managers commute for hours to and from their jobs here, creating traffic, sending greenhouse gases into the air, requiring more childcare, and making it hard for them to enjoy any quality of life. It's also not great for employers to have employees live far away. Case in point, when the electricity went out on the north side this week, I see you, north side. Are you here? Kind of. It's okay to cheer for your side of town. The utility workers, when your electricity went out, lived so far away, it took a while for them to come fix it. I learned that from Lisa Forcell, another city council candidate, current utilities commissioner, and you should vote for her too. Our seniors need housing. Our schools could also use housing because enrollment is trending down because young families cannot afford to live here. Our kids who grew up here and want to live here as adults need housing. Maybe you need housing too. Now let's talk about the state. Perhaps you've heard that California is requiring Palo Alto to build 6,086 housing units in the next 8 years to do our fair share in this region. Great. But have you also heard that Palo Alto has reached a point where the state is a tad upset with us because lately we have not built the number of housing units they required? And where they once offered monetary carrots to build housing, they've decided to start using sticks to prod us. Sticks like, if you don't approve housing projects in a timely fashion, not only will you not be eligible for money, we'll take the discretion you're accustomed to having in the housing approval process out of your hands entirely. This is where we are. 6,000 units in 8 years. Non-negotiable. You get me? So we either figure it out ourselves, do it the way we want to see it done, what it looks like, who's going to live there, or we're going to be told what to do and spend a whole lot of time arguing with the state, and I'd rather not spend our hard-earned tax dollars on lawsuits with the state of California. Folks, we are not Palo Atherton. We are Palo Alto. And no offense to the Athertonians who may be here, I'm glad you're here. Please take a lawn sign. No intents offended, you do you, boo, but Palo Alto is a proper city, an ecosystem in which humans from all walks of life matter and thrive. Yet change feels scary, and many of us speak against more housing because we like things just as they've always been. I get it. If this is you, I see you. Change can be scary. But this is not zero sum, for we are evolving, getting better. No one is going to take away your home or nest egg. We just want other people to have that too. And you can be a part of making that happen. Look with me for a moment to the future, where neighbors of all backgrounds are together thriving, inspired by organizations like Palo Alto Forward, Silicon Valley at Home, Alto Housing, and Palo Alto Renters Association. I see a Palo Alto with thoughtfully designed homes of all sizes on tree-lined streets on both the north and south sides for owners and renters at all income levels, where single-family homes sit alongside duplexes, townhomes, ADUs, and more single-family homes, so doctors and plumbers and teachers can once again live as neighbors together, thriving. I see homes near jobs and green transit, retail, schools, and parks, and folks walking and biking and driving electric cars while an electric Caltrain comes through our town and our streets go under so we don't have gridlock. I see a city where kids know they matter here and are cherished no matter how school is going, how they identify, or who they love, and where they take our city shuttle between home and school so their parents can be at work or back at home and all those cars aren't creating traffic or pumping greenhouse gas into the air. A city where everyone is treated with dignity and kindness when they walk down our sidewalks and meet neighbors, strangers, store clerks, and law enforcement. Where we open source our innovation to cities around the nation because nobody does science, engineering, innovation, and design better than we do. Where we're even able to be a sanctuary for those who cannot get the health care they need in their home state, because America. Isn't it time? This is our campaign vision, and we ask you to join us. Team Julie wears purple. You can see the t-shirts. We wear purple because it's where red and blue meet in the third place of cooperation and compromise. Purple is also the color of law. And as you may know, I used to practice law. It is also the color of queerness, and that applies to me too. I know some of you don't like it when I talk about identity, but others need me to, because representation matters. I'm going to shout out a few things we believe on Team Julie, and if you agree, I want you to shout back, it's time. You with me?
Yeah.
Listen up, you ready?
Yeah.
Let me warm you up. Okay, I want to hear it. I want other people to hear it. Not too loud, so we don't get them on calling us. So what's going on in the park? Okay. South Side, it's time. Okay, let's try it again. South Side,
It's time.
North Side,
It's time.
do you live elsewhere?
It's time.
We welcome you.
It's time.
Are you a renter?
It's time.
Are you an owner?
It's time.
Did you grow up here?
It's time.
Did you move here?
It's time.
Shall we treat all with dignity and kindness?
It's time.
Change our energy ways?
It's time.
Should we listen to our youth?
It's time.
Have the courage to do what they say?
It's time.
Should we build more housing?
It's time.
Affordable and market rate too?
It's time.
Should we center the renters?
It's time.
Working class, middle class too?
It's time.
Should we build a sustainable future?
It's time.
Make this a place for all?
It's time.
Are we the ones who will do this?
It's time.
Will we heed the call?
It's time.
Y'all, I agree with you. It's time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I'm bringing up my biggest fan, my mother.